superfans, my name is Emily Bacamo, and today I want to tell you about some great books about some amazing heroes. But quick, when you hear the word hero, who do you think about? Most people automatically think of Superman, Batman, Captain America, Wonder Woman, and so on. You know, those fictional comic book heroes that always become the hit blockbuster movies of the summer. Many do not think about actual real-life heroes, the ones you hear about in history class but never really pay them any mind. If you do a quick Google search of the word hero, this is the definition you find. A person who is admired or idolized for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. Sound familiar? So it's no wonder that history is slam-packed full of heroes. But don't worry, you don't need to be a history connoisseur or know a ton of random facts and dates to appreciate these stories. Now it's time to relax and keep an open mind as we travel back in time to hear some of history's great hero stories. First up on our list, we must travel back to the American Revolution. Yeah, I bet you are already thinking that our first hero must be George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, or one of the other original founding fathers, but you're sadly mistaken. Their stories are overtold, and in some cases just plain boring, because we have heard them so many times. No, our first hero is one that history has painted a totally different picture of: Benedict Arnold. That's right. That famous traitor, by definition, could have actually been one of the first great American heroes. After all, there is quite a fine line between hero and villain. The Notorious Benedict Arnold, a true story of adventure, heroism, and treachery by Steve Shankin, tells the story of one of the greatest American heroes. A loyal patriot during the early years of the war and a dear friend of General George Washington himself, Arnold played a pivotal role in key battles that led to the newly formed United States defeating Great Britain during the American Revolution. And he probably would have been remembered as such had he not made a series of misinformed choices leading to his eventual demise due to feeling underappreciated and underpaid. Kind of makes you think about Anakin Skywalker before he turns into Darth Vader, doesn't it? Shankin artfully tells Arnold's story of adventure and his critical accomplishments in battle, such as the capture of Fort Ticonderoga and the battles of Quebec and Saratoga. Did you know that Benedict Arnold led a fleet of U.S. Navy ships against the British in the Battle of Valcour Island, and against all odds, managed to safely navigate the fleet to safety under the cover of night? Throughout the entire book, Shankin provides the reader with first-hand accounts of Arnold's skillful knowledge of military tactics, quality leadership, and heroism in battle. And in true Shankin form, this biography reads like a story and is not bogged down with too many facts and details. In other words, you won't feel like you're reading your history book for a class assignment. Read Steve Shankin's biography, The Notorious Benedict Arnold, a true story of adventure, heroism, and treachery, and decide for yourself. Was Benedict Arnold a traitor or a true American hero? Next up is the story of a young Jewish boy who is not what you would think of as a traditional hero. In fact, he's probably the last person ever that you would consider a hero. Our next hero is a survivor of the Holocaust. While we visit this book, keep in mind our definition and consider what in fact makes him a hero. Prisoner B3087 by Alan Gratz tells the story of Yannick, a young Jewish boy as he struggles to survive the Holocaust during World War II. This book is technically a work of historical fiction. However, the people and events are based on the real-life experiences of Holocaust survivors Jack and Ruth Bruner. Written as a timeline of events, Gratz's story follows Yannick from his capture during the Nazi takeover of Poland, through numerous concentration camps and death marches, and finally ends with his rescue by the Americans when they invaded Germany. Yannick is a hero because of his sheer determination to live and the courage he shows as he looks death in the face at each of the 10 concentration camps he visited. Can you imagine surviving 10 different concentration camps? Out of those 10, he went through some of the most deadly, like Dachau. Yannick even describes his own personal encounter with the angel of death himself, Dr. Joseph Mengele, who is known because of his gruesome research on Jewish twins. Although Yannick loses his family during the Holocaust, he never loses his determination to live, even when he thought all was lost when he found himself inside a gas chamber. Gratz's main mission of this book was to convey the true thoughts, feelings, and expressions of Yannick. It is quite the opposite of the usual Holocaust stories because it does not contain overly graphic imagery. However, the reader will get a sense of the desolate and dreary situations faced by Yannick. Courage. That's what any real hero is made of. And if you want to read a story of a real-life courageous hero, then read Prisoner B 3087 by Alan Gratz. Our final book takes us back to the late 1950s and early 1960s during the space race against Russia. This was also a crucial time in history for women's rights. Now, when everyone hears space race, you probably think of the Apollo 11 mission to the moon and men like Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. You may even think of those famous words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." You probably have never even heard of the Mercury 13, right? Or that they were 13 amazing women. After all, in the 1950s, becoming an astronaut was a feat accomplished only by men. It was not considered a proper profession for women in their little white gloves, dresses, and pearl necklaces. While some women worked or even had careers, their main job was still to be a homemaker and mother to children. However, times were changing, and that's just what the Mercury 13 set out to prove. Almost Astronauts, 13 Women Who Dared to Dream by Tanya Lee Stone tells the story of 13 brave women who wanted to reach the stars, literally, and become heroes to many for their accomplishments and courage. Above all, the Mercury 13 women sought to prove to the world that women can do anything that a man can do. The 13 women proved themselves to be accomplished pilots and physically capable to cope with the demands of an outer space mission, perhaps even better than their male rivals. Even though none of the 13 were able to reach space, they laid the groundwork for women like themselves to reach their goal. The novel even tells of how 8 of the original 13 were present when Eileen Collins piloted the space shuttle in 1995. Almost Astronauts is written through a timeline of events, and there are even pictures of the 13 as they trained and went through the rigorous, unapproved NASA training conducted by Randolph Lovelace, the founder of the Women in Space program. The reader hears of their personal struggles to prove themselves and even the legal battles they fought, although losing, to prove themselves capable of space missions. If you want to read a story which captures the true essence of girl power, then read Almost Astronauts, 13 Women Who Dared to Dream by Tanya Lee Stone. Who doesn't enjoy stories of heroes? Sadly, many only think of those fictional characters who are portrayed in movies as heroes rather than actual people. There are so many wonderful stories of real-life heroes that you can read. You just have to be willing to step out of that comfort zone and read a piece of historical fiction, a biography or autobiography, or even a nonfiction book. It won't be as boring or mundane as you think it is, and you may even find a new favorite genre. So instead of hitting up the theater to watch the latest and greatest blockbuster hit movie, run to your local library and pick up one of these inspiring books about real-life heroes. The Notorious Benedict Arnold, A True Story of Adventure, Heroism, and Treachery by Steve Shankin. Prisoner B 3087 by Alan Gratz. Or Almost Astronauts, 13 Women Who Dared to Dream by Tanya Lee Stone. Who knows? Maybe you will become inspired to read about more real-life heroes of history, or become one yourself.